Good morning, everybody. Welcome into Coffee Break on this Tuesday. Holy smokes, D-Mac. It does not even feel like a Tuesday. It feels like a Thursday. But how are you today?
Wow, what's going on with you? Why do you say that?
It just feels like a Tuesday. Or a Thursday. Like, I don't know. I woke up this morning and I was like, all right, we got one more day. Like, the weekend's almost here. I'm excited for warm weather. No, it's a Tuesday and the warm weather is coming on a Wednesday. So, there it
Oh,
is.
is it really? So tomorrow's supposed to be nice?
I think it's supposed to be like 70 degrees tomorrow.
Oh, snap. Is that right?
I know.
Okay.
Let's go. Well, now I need to make sure before I get everybody's hopes up.
All right.
69 tomorrow in Denver. That's freaking great.
Okay.
I'll
All
take it.
right, let's go. I love it. I
I
love
know.
it. And the tournament's coming to town.
Yep.
So we'll have a lot of that's always exciting, with the kids and the bands and the schools and the fans and
Yep.
it's always a blast. And on a personal note, I gotta root for my Sun Devils to win tonight so they can join us for the weekend. But they're in the playing game against Nevada.
I was gonna say because if they win, they're here in Denver.
Yeah.
There's a couple of good games that'll be going on here in Denver. I'm
Oh
excited.
yeah. Yeah. You got Gonzaga here, who's a big
Gonzaga.
time team. Baylor's here. Grand Canyon University.
Yep. For the whack.
I'm saying that because one of James's James Marilat's kids, considering him going to GCU. So the whack. That's right, Rachel. You and the whack.
I
You
know.
and the whack.
Look at the only one. So Kansas State, I was hoping was going to play here. They are not going to be playing here. They're playing in New York. But otherwise, I got like all the good games that I'm excited for here. So I'm
Well,
like, all
you
right.
should explain why the whack means something to you.
Yeah, so they were my first job outside of college. So I was a sideline reporter and in-studio host for the Western Athletic Conference for 3 years. Did it during COVID. It's like the 3-year anniversary of COVID. I don't know if anniversary is the right term to use, but I was at the WAC basketball tournament when the COVID outbreak came to the United States and everything started to shut down. So we were like trying to find emergency flights to get back to Denver because obviously the whole world was shutting down at that point. So that's crazy to even think about.
And for those that don't know, and this is beyond curious, the WAC's headquarters was in Denver.
It was in Denver. Yep.
Is it still here?
They moved to
They did.
Dallas or Houston, I want to say.
The
So,
WAC was the craziest conference of all time.
no,
They
I
were
know.
up in Portland, I think, was in the WAC, or
Not Seattle U.
Seattle U. Sorry, Seattle U, and so was like Western Illinois or something. I mean, it was the most, and down in Texas,
Yep.
it had to be the most spread out conference of all the conferences.
We had, yeah, so Seattle, then there was UTRGV, which is down like very, very close to the border
Yeah,
for Mexico. And then you had Chicago in there. You had Grand Canyon, New Mexico State. Now they've got like a whole bunch of Texas schools. I was there for like a few months when they kind of merged all these Texas schools. But yeah, they have a ton
crazy
of schools
conference.
now. I know.
Crazy. All right.
It's all about the money. I need the Rihanna song. Like, let's have my money. Because holy smokes, the Broncos ownership group, they said we're going to spend a pretty penny. So is it win now in your eyes, DMAC, instead of let's rebuild?
Well, I have used this example before, and I'm looking smarter by the day on this one. But welcome to Wrexham. This is it. We had some other examples, but not a $220 million example or whatever they spent. Something along those lines, Rachel.
$130 million in guaranteed and $219 million. Oh my
I mean,
God.
that is a lot of cash, and you got the owners to do it because a lot of that comes in signing bonuses, which means you got to write a check right then and there. You got to have the cash to do it. So, just to sum up, welcome to Wrexham. Great TV show. Rob McElhenney, Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Ryan Reynolds, gorgeous superstar, everything. Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool.
Love him.
They went and bought a Welsh soccer team in the 5th division, kind of as a lark. I think kind of like a real life Ted Lasso. And then they just discovered in order to make this work, we just got to throw all sorts of money. They didn't know anything about soccer, European football. So they did. And if you look at the table standings, Wrexham is at the top this year and looks like they'll be elevated here. So it can work, Rachel. When you look, I saw ESPN today, when you throw big money at a problem,
Yep.
you can have immediate results. And then they were showing an example of the improvement of a lot of teams when there was a lot of money thrown at them in terms of plus wins. And over the years, almost every team that has thrown a ton of money is a plus win. Now, the Broncos won 5 games, 4 with Russ, because Brett Rippon, he won 1 as well. So if you were to say there are going to be plus wins over 4 with Russell Wilson, or perhaps 5 if you include the entire team, how many plus wins do you think yesterday equaled?
I would say the Broncos win 2 more games.
That's it?
That's what I'm going to give them. I mean, they still have, granted, your offensive line did get a lot better. So I'll give them 3, but there's still a few holes that need to be fixed. Granted, I guess Zach Allen, too, came in late last night. Okay, I'm going to say 4.
4? So yeah, I'm kind of in that range, too. I think 8, maybe 9. Now, 9 would be significant, Rachel. It'd be the first time in 6 years they just had a winning record.
Yeah.
So, okay, but project beyond that. Say they do win 9 and they just miss the playoffs. Okay, well, now what? Are they on the right path? I mean, they will get draft picks back in 2024. You can't. What they just did, Rachel, is incredibly dangerous to do on a regular basis. Yeah. They really don't have much of a choice because they only have 5 draft picks. That's it. Yep. So what else were you going to do? So having wealthy owners definitely is paying off because you can do what they're willing to do, and they did it yesterday.
Also, you're not saying comp draft picks. You're just saying they're getting back their normal draft picks.
Yeah. They finally will be done paying for Russell Wilson and for Sean Payton.
Okay. I'm gonna stick with 4. Were you at 4? Did you say that you were at 4? Or were you at?
I think they're going to win 8 games next year because I don't believe in Russell Wilson. So, but I think they'll win some of those games in pretty convincing fashion. I think there'll be plenty of moments where you're just like, whoa, look at this. Wow, okay, up yours, D-Mac. You're an idiot. Look at how great it is. And you have to understand that, Rachel, they lost 9 games by 1 score. So there's 2 sides of that coin. There's, we were this close, it was all Hackett's fault, or it's this close, we didn't really have what it took to get over that hill. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. I mean, I think they're going to be better. I heard Mike Kliss on with Mike and Mark. He goes, well, the Broncos are better today than they were, 2 days ago. Or they became better yesterday than they were on Sunday. I believe that is correct. But you've got to have things work out for you. And the issue is, because you don't have any draft picks, Rachel, you don't have much depth. Meaning, it looks good on paper because it is. But if you have some injury issues, it can fall apart quickly. Yeah. And one of the big NFL cliches is, next man up. Well, this man makes $15 million a year. This guy makes $15. Yeah. I mean, you shouldn't expect the same production out of the guy that makes $15 compared to the guy that makes $15 million.
So that leads the question to be, how much of a pass do they get last year because they had so many injuries? Because I remember before Russell Wilson came in, everybody was talking about the Denver Broncos saying they just need a quarterback. That's all this team needs, and they can make it very far into the playoffs. Well, that actually proved to not be correct because you got a quarterback, although he did have the worst year of his career. They still had a lot of other issues. So how much of a pass do injuries give the Broncos?
They get a pass. I mean, it's one of the 4 big problems for sure. Mm-hmm. And, it hurt. You didn't have your best receiver, who was Tim Patrick, at the beginning of training camp. Jerry Jeudy became your best receiver, but Tim Patrick was your best receiver at the beginning of the year. You didn't have your best running back with Javonte Williams. You didn't have your best left tackle with Garrett Bowles. I mean, Rachel, these are significant injuries. Yeah. So, sure, you get some sort of pass. You didn't really have Greg Dulcich for most of the year, and Randy Gregory was hurt quite a bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, okay, fine. There's if everybody was pretty healthy, I think they probably win maybe as many as 3 more games. Seriously, I think it was that big of a deal. That puts you at about an 8-win team overall. Okay. But Rachel, what are we doing here? Are we trying to win a Super Bowl? Or are we trying to just have a winning season and feel good about ourselves? Sometimes when I hear a lot of the critiques of what we have to say here, it really feels like, oh, okay, I guess we're just about having a winning record. You know, it used to be about winning Super Bowls for the Denver Broncos. But Rachel, it's been a minute. 7 straight years missing the playoffs, 6 straight years of being under 500, the worst record after winning a Super Bowl in NFL history. Mm-hmm. You were on your 4th head coach since Gary Kubiak won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
4th head coach. How many quarterbacks have we been through during that time as well? I mean, it's daunting. And the one thing they haven't done is go for a highly drafted quarterback. It's the one thing they haven't done. They've never done. In the history of their franchise, Rachel, they didn't do, because John Elway was actually traded for back in 1983. They've never done it. The highest they've gone was Jay Cutler, and he was in the, I want to say, we'd have to look it up, 12, 13, something like that. He was outside of the top 10. They had 2 opportunities in the top 10 since 2018. And, you know, they didn't do it in 2018. They didn't do it in 2021. Mm-hmm. And now they're not going to do it ever with Sean Payton because they just picked up Jarrett Stidham.
Okay. We're going to talk about Jarrett Stidham here in a minute, because the money he's making, you'll be surprised how he's making some money more than a few other players on the team. But you say they would have won 3 more games, correct?
I think. I'm guessing, without the injuries.
If they're going to win 3 more with the updated roster, you're looking at what, 10 games?
Rachel, I got them at 8 and 9 right now. I'm not changing. I think it's good they got McGlinchey and they got Powers. I think they made their offensive line better. But I always thought they were going to be better. Uh-huh. I always thought they were going to spend money. I always thought they were going to improve the offensive line. That's what my 8 wins is based on.
Are they still treating it like a toy?
It's welcome to Wrexham. I mean, it's not like Ryan and Rob are sitting in the office in Wrexham. They're in Hollywood. Are they still treating it like it's kinda? I mean, here's how it went. On Sunday, Greg Penner and his wife, Carrie and Walton, getting the names right, met with the Paytons. Yep. So the Paytons come in there holding hands, I'm sure, because now they had time to flesh things out. Here come the Paytons. And they laid out the plan. And Greg and Carrie are probably like, oh, Greg, you have the checkbook? There you go. I mean, is it still a toy? I mean, kinda. I mean, all they did, Rachel, was spend a lot of money, which is awesome. It's awesome. They're willing to spend a lot of money, and that's awesome. That's really good to know. It would have sucked if we knew we had the richest owners in the NFL and they weren't willing to spend money, okay? And they're taking huge financial risks, which is relative compared to the money they have to spend. Can't take it with you. So, okay, I'm fine with that. But nah, I mean, once they start doing blueprints for a new stadium, then I'll know they're serious. Until they do that, I mean, it's just really about writing checks.
So it's not serious for what you're producing on the field, but more what's happening off the field?
Yeah, because that's their biggest thing that they've got to be in charge of. When they start building a new stadium.
Whoa. Super Bowls, new stadium. Super Bowls,
business,
new stadium.
Football, business.
But isn't Super Bowl's business? Like you're
they all work together, but what they would be in charge of, like they would have to directly oversee, is the construction and the development of a new stadium in that complex. They just hand off the football stuff, Rachel. What do you think? Carrie Ann Walton is watching film?
No, but you want to make money. Well, how are you going to make money when you have playoffs?
Rachel, is that the goal? Is that what they're trying to do? Make money?
I feel like more people, at least Broncos country, and don't want to speak too much out of term, but would rather have the team win a Super Bowl than be in a new stadium.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. But if we're just talking about, are they taking it seriously or is it a toy? I need to see them treat it like, once I see them working a new stadium, that's when I'll know they'll take it really seriously, because that takes real work. Rachel, it doesn't take real work just to write a check.
Okay, but you have to have the money.
Well, yeah, but they've had the money. I mean, but listen, welcome to Wrexham. Rob and Ryan had the money. They had the money. That's why they did it. They're losing money. They are losing money on Wrexham. But they've built a worldwide phenomenon, because they built a TV show. They've got social media. That's huge.
Uh-huh.
Wrexham may be next to, say, Arsenal, which is owned by the Kroenkes, or Manchester United, or some of these really big teams. Wrexham may be one of the top best-known football clubs in the world, and they're a Division 5 team from a small little town in Wales.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are from, it's as if Brighton, Colorado, had like the 10th best known team in football next to like the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
The Brighton Bulldogs, which played in the who knows what arena league, were on the same conversation as the Dallas Cowboys. It sounds ridiculous, but that happens when you have very wealthy owners that can make a big deal of things.
Okay, so then my next question is, since you bring up the Cowboys, does Jerry Jones not take the Cowboys as a what's the word I'm looking for? A toy?
No. He's all in. He's the general manager of the team. He's in the office
he's physically involved with that, it's not a toy for him, but because the Walton Penner Group have somebody else who's a part of that, even though I think he's probably number one, that makes it a toy?
Yeah, basically, yeah. I mean, to boil it down, they haven't done anything right now to show that they are more invested than they need to be, which is, Rachel, it's okay. It's fine. They got a big checkbook and a lot of money. I'm actually okay with it. Rachel, they don't know anything about football anyway. So I don't necessarily need them making big decisions about stuff they don't know about. And I think Kerry Walton is overseeing some of the community service types of things. And the Broncos have always been spectacular in that department. Yeah. So they just need to go there. Listen, they're going to have a big new scoreboard. They're trying to make things more comfortable down at the stadium. And they started work on that right away. It may sound like I'm being critical, and perhaps the word toy is a little misleading. I think they're doing a great job, okay? And yesterday, they were happy to write checks and spend money. And I think that is a really, really good thing. I don't think it's a difficult thing to do, but I think it's a really good thing to do. And then they're trusting Sean Payton and George Payton, who they did hire to make those decisions, which again is the right thing to do. Now, it's fine. They had a really good day for what they needed to do yesterday. You cannot sustain like that, though. Because, Rachel, I'm telling you, if these guys, these huge free agents, get hurt, what's behind them? Where's the depth? And that's generally why, things work out with the draft. That's why you need the draft. So, Rachel, they have invested 2 first-round picks in Russell Wilson, 2 second-round picks in Russell Wilson, a first-round pick in Sean Payton. Rachel, that is 5 first-round picks.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second. 5 first-round picks.
It's a lot of talent. And
5. What could you do with 5 first-round picks? I mean, these are low-level contracts with 5 starters, Rachel. You pick the position, okay? 5. And one of those picks is the number 5 pick in this draft because they stunk. The Seahawks have the number 5. That would be the Broncos. If the Broncos had the number 5 pick, so you had a bad year with whoever, you have Justin Fields as your quarterback, and you have a bad year and you're picking 5. What are you doing with that pick?
Well, after what they've already done this week so far?
Well, you wouldn't have to do all that. Don't forget you have the number 5 overall pick. But Justin Fields, listen, if you're the Chicago Bears, this is what the Bears did. They had a bad year with their pick in 2021, okay? They traded with the Panthers, and now they have the number 9 pick. You realize Patrick Surtain, all-world everything, like the best corner in the world ever, was chosen at number 9.
Yep.
So you could get a all-world best ever, walks on water player at 9, even if Justin Fields was bad, if you were willing to sort of be in that position if you had Justin Fields.
Okay, so then at the number 5 pick, if they would have it, do you think that either not Powers, Ben?
Ben Powers and Mike McGlinchey.
Yes, I knew there was another Ben though we were talking about yesterday, and so I'm getting them confused now. But yes, Ben Powers and McGlinchey. Do you think that one of them would not be a part of this team?
I think McGlinchey would not be part of the team. And I think all
So he
things
was their
considered,
substitute for their first round draft pick.
they would be drafting a first round tackle, and that's a guy who's really healthy and has a lot of time left. I think that's exactly what they would be doing, and or they would be getting like Will Anderson, a high level pass rusher, going in that department because they're not really sure about. But you wouldn't have probably picked up Randy Gregory in the first place. You would have. I mean, this is the fallout. I mean, if you drafted Justin Fields, you probably still have Bradley Chubb. You probably don't have to get Randy Gregory. You probably don't trade Von Miller. You probably kept Von Miller, Rachel.
Wow.
Von was traded in 2021. Von was traded in 2021, the same year that you didn't, take Justin Fields. So you probably have a team with Justin Fields, Garrett Bowles, left tackle, healthy, draft pick, theoretically, if you're bad. I think they would have been in the playoffs, but whatever. If you're bad, you got a new right tackle. You'd have Chubb and you would have Vaughn, and you'd probably give Vaughn a new deal, and then you're off and running. I mean, you would have had to make other changes too. Obviously, Fangio stunk as a coach, and Hackett was only here, Rachel, to get Aaron Rodgers. I mean, come on.
That's true.
I mean, there's no world where Hackett's the coach if it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers, and you wouldn't need Aaron Rodgers if you drafted Justin Fields.
All right, we could go down a whole rabbit hole.
I got it. And people hate this because they're like, move on and whatever. And I'm like, okay, sure, I'll move on. But don't forget how we got here. Are they better than they were yesterday? Sure. Are they really dependent on Russell Wilson? Yes. Is it a 1-year tryout for Russell Wilson? Yes. Yes, it is. Because they can move on from him after next year. It'll suck, but they already have that. And that's why Jarrett Stidham is really important, Rachel. Really important. Because if you have to move on from Russell Wilson after this season, you're not going to have the money you may have the draft pick, but you won't have the money to get yourself a new quarterback. Mm-hmm. You won't. You're going to have to suck it up, Buttercup. Yep. But if Russell Wilson's gone, you'd have Stidham in the system. You'd have a left tackle, a right tackle, and a guard. You'd have the basis of an offensive line to be okay with. Mm-hmm. I mean, you probably would be okay even without Russell Wilson in this offense with Sean Payton. So overall I like the Stidham deal. I do. I actually like it. Mm-hmm. My problem, I just realized, I just laughed to myself because I know they're not going to, draft a quarterback. So you're going to ride with Stidham as a reclamation project for Sean Payton, which he really likes doing. Mm-hmm. And that's the question. Like, do you see, Rachel, be honest, do you see Jarrett Stidham dueling it out with Josh Allen, Herbert, Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, and we'll see where Lamar Jackson ends up. And Trevor Lawrence. I'm going like the top AFC quarterbacks. Is Jarrett Stidham going to outduel is he Brock Purdy?
No.
Are you sure?
I can confidently, well, I won't say confidently. I can say right now, I don't see Jarrett Stidham helping the Denver Broncos win a Super Bowl.
Well, he's the plan after us. Not a drafted quarterback. It's only a 2-year deal, and you can get out of it after 1 year. So it's not like you couldn't find somebody else to.
I'm going to ask the people in the comments, would you rather have Jarrett Stidham or Jameis Winston? Or Baker would have been interesting.
But really interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Baker would have been really fun. I for sure thought he was going to stay with LA. I guess we don't know what's going to happen with Baker.
Well, here's what I think. I think Sean Payton really feels like he can develop guys lower in the draft, as he's done, okay? Yeah. And that's good that the coach has confidence and has a track record to prove it. He probably, I'm going to guess, really liked Jarrett Stidham. They evaluate all quarterbacks, and I have no doubt that he's really looked closely at Stidham. And if you go back and watch Stidham's game against the 49ers when he started with the Raiders last year, he was awesome. They lost the game, but he had a great game.
Maybe that's what I'll do today. Maybe I'll go back and watch some of his plays. I've seen a few highlights, but I should actually go back and watch the full game to see kind of what.
He's like 6'3". He's pretty mobile. It's not quite as big and as strong
But
as
will they
Josh
win a
Allen,
Super
but
Bowl with him?
what's that?
Will they win a Super Bowl with him?
It's hard to imagine. But nobody ever knew who Brock Purdy was either. I mean, we're in this kind of weird world. I mean, I think your chances to win a Super Bowl down the line over the next decade are way stronger with Caleb Williams or Drake May, but you got to be in a position to draft one of those guys and a willingness to do so as well. I fear if the Broncos, even if they could draft Caleb Williams or Drake May, if they had Russell Wilson, they would just take a pass rusher. I don't have any evidence whatsoever that even if they were in the position to do so, they would do so. And they certainly aren't going to deal Patrick Surtain, which would be their easiest way to go about being in a position to do so. And they have no interest in doing that. So, hey, man, we'll go for the ride, Rach. We'll go for the ride and see where it takes us.
Well, he's making more money. He's going to have $2 million given to him this year, which is more than John Devontae Williams, Patrick Surtain, so everybody's favorite Bronco in there, and also like KJ Hamler. I mean, there's a whole long list of players, but those were the three big names that really popped out to me. So GMAC, it kind of supports your cause of, everyone's so high on Patrick Surtain, which we're not taking away any credit. He's a fantastic player. But your backup quarterback is getting paid more money because the position he's in.
Well, and that's the value of drafting. That's first-time contracts where you can get extraordinary players on such a cheap deal. Yep. And that's where teams really, when you can get a quarterback that is somebody significant and you can build around that, the savings, Rachel, is ridiculous. Yep. We just saw what Daniel Jones is getting paid. And Jimmy Garoppolo, not that much, actually. I mean, a lot. I mean, it's $20-something million, but it's not 35 like Daniel Jones or, whatever Russ has ended up making this year. I think he's only $22 million, but you throw in the bonuses, it's like, I don't know, it's ridiculous. He's basically getting $50 million a year. So yeah, I mean, this is the deal. This is the benefit. Look at Patrick Surtain. On paper, Patrick Surtain, who may be worth 2 first-round picks, and maybe more, is on a rookie deal. But when are you going to have to pay that piper? The top cornerback in the leagues all make north of $20 million. So you're going to pay Patrick Surtain more than $20 million per. You're going to pay Russell, I guess, if you're keeping him, $50 million a year. And there's one. Oh well, Jerry Jeudy's right behind that as well. And as a top receiver, you're going to make more than $20 million.
And Justin Simmons right now is making, I believe he's the top player making the most money on this team, like for this year, essentially.
Yeah, well, that's like done whenever his contract's over. Justin got paid. Justin got a couple of deals. He made his money. Good for him. He's really good at his position. His position is kind of, in terms of importance, is kind of so-so. But I'll tell you this about Justin Simmons. He made the most out of his position. Mm-hmm. And the fact that somebody playing his position really did positively impact a couple games to turn a game, man, way to go, Justin Simmons. Yeah. I mean, Justin Simmons had the most impactful season in changing a loss to a win this year for the Broncos.
He was the most beneficial player for this team this year because of some big plays that you said ultimately helped them get W's.
But then again, you got a problem when and he, credit to him because he did it. But you want your quarterback making those plays, Rachel. You want to be scoring points. You want to be piling it on. You want that. You don't want it to be your safety. Your safety making plays is like pure and utter, desperation. And those plays that Justin made were like, interceptions at the goal line. Yeah. I mean, like, whoa, what a play, because we are about to get smoked right now. Yeah. And, wow, clutch play, that's huge. So great, except let's not be in that situation. Yep. Let's have a quarterback in an offense that can drive the ball down the field and, score and, not have to worry about this type of thing. Yep. But the Broncos did have to worry about that type of thing, and thank goodness they had Justin Simmons.
Hallelujah. Justin Simmons, fantastic. But the big one, to say goodbye to the Denver Broncos is Draymond Jones. We all knew it was coming after he had comments to Andrew Mason about, well, I'm here right now. We eventually knew that the relationship between the Broncos and Draymond Jones was going to be a divorce, but did the Broncos get better because they bring in Zach Allen from Arizona, which obviously he's worked with Vance Joseph? Did they get better or worse?
They got slightly worse, but it's fine. It's slightly worse.
You're not high on Zach Allen, huh?
No. I'm okay with Zach Allen. I've looked into him now. I didn't know much about him, to be honest with you. Mm-hmm. But, I've done a deeper dive into him. His numbers are pretty comparable to Draymond Jones, top to bottom. I don't know. I mean, it's okay. It's cool. I mean, you had to get somebody. You spent money there. You saved yourself probably $6 million on Zach Allen over. You save more or less Jarrett Stidham's contract. I guess you pick up Stidham for free for the money that you saved on Draymond. I'm okay with it, Rachel. I think Draymond is a good, solid player. It's great getting 6 sacks from the inside and quarterback pressures, but I'm not blown away by it.
Okay, so Zach Allen's 1 year younger than Draymond Jones, so interesting. Also, I did not see Seattle coming into that picture. I was like, oh, holy smokes, look at Seattle go.
Didn't see it either. I thought it was going to be Chicago or Cleveland.
Yep.
It's Seattle. So, hey, good for Draymond. I like Draymond. I thought he was a good dude. I thought he had a really good personality. I thought he was super smart. Yep. He was a bit of a wise ass, which I always appreciate. And he was a damn determined player. So, I watching him on social media, there's 2 things I picked up on social media. He's fine leaving, okay? And I'm going to guess that's why it fell apart. I think he just wanted – I don't think he would necessarily mind him rolling my eyes about staying, but I really do think he was looking for a way to get out. And then I see some of his teammates' responses to him, especially Justin Simmons, and I'm like, I get it. There's frustration there. It sucks being drafted by a team, Rachel, and never having a winning record. Yeah. Justin Simmons is one of the longest tenured Broncos. He's never been to the playoffs, and he just hasn't really won. Yeah. I mean, you're a player like Simmons who's accomplished so much, and then you see your pal Draymond Jones go off to a team that was in the playoffs last year, and it's a moment of kind of like, I wish I was with you, pal. I'm sorry to see you go, but I get it.
Yeah. I saw a question. Rachel, is George Pete still the number 1 problem after yesterday? Yes, he is still the number 1 problem because we don't know what we're going to be putting out on the field yet. Yeah,
well,
they win 10 games.
Hold on. He was. Maybe it's careful how we use our words here. I'll just ask it to you. How much impact do you think he had compared to Sean Payton yesterday?
So that was going to be my point is I think Sean Payton had more to say in what was happening yesterday. Like you said, Sean Payton, I think, is why Jarrett Stidham is here. I think that they like that. Let's bring up this young player. Let's bring up this player who, maybe wouldn't have done so well in the league if it wasn't for Sean Payton type of thing. Less of George Payton being a part of that.
I think George Payton is a consensus builder. Mm-hmm. I don't think he is a put his foot down sort of guy. And I think as they were trying to evaluate what they needed, he simply went to the coaches that are in charge of their department and said, well, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Yep. And once he collaborated all their information, then he acted upon it to build a collaborative approach, which isn't bad at all. And it's probably why he'll work fine with Sean Payton. I absolutely believe that Sean Payton wanted McGlinchey and wanted Powers and wanted Stidham. Uh-huh. It's hard to get away from the fact that Vance Joseph would want Zach Allen. I mean, he coached him last year. Yep. And in terms of bringing back Singleton, everybody liked him. And then they found, New Orleans. They found Menhertz, who didn't even play college football. He was a basketball player. Yeah. And he's a tight end that used to play with Sean Payton. So I think Sean Payton got his guys. I think Vance Joseph got his guy. I think they all like Singleton. And you can see collaboration-wise, that's how George Payton works. So maybe he's not the problem anymore. Well, but Rachel, when he was making the decisions, it sucked. Like when he was in charge of stuff, it was awful. Now that he's really not in charge of stuff, he's just doing what everybody else wants to do.
Okay, so I see your point, but he still is the boss man. Besides the ownership group, he's still the boss man.
Sort of.
If our station failed, Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan failed, it's not going to be necessarily on us. It's going to be on our boss. Right?
That's what we'll tell people.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, and technically nothing's changed. Yes, we essentially look better on paper, but we all liked the Randy Gregory signing that they brought in, and we were all really excited for that. Well, how well did that actually work out?
Well, I wasn't excited for it. I mean, and I know a lot of people weren't because he had such a sketchy history of playing. Yeah. So, no, I wasn't thrilled about it. And that was a George Payton deal. Listen, George Payton was terrible when he was purely in charge, okay? Rachel, he failed miserably when he was unchecked.
Yeah.
Really bad. That's not the case anymore. I'm not saying the guy's like all of a sudden a great GM. I'm just saying he's being used more or less as a high-level assistant than a general manager anyway. So it's kind of like, I don't know, if Sean Payton likes him, fine. If Sean Payton doesn't like him, you can find a new assistant. I mean, it really is up to Sean Payton. And on the defense, Vance Joseph gets a big say. George Payton's out of it, Rachel. He's out of it. He's not making big decisions anymore. He'll oversee his scouting department, but they only have 5 picks, Rachel, in the draft. 5. You know they're going to draft a running back. Rachel, at some point, you just do, I call it auto draft. Seriously. And when you get into auto draft, that's all you do. We need a running back. Here we are. Who's the best running back? Take him. I mean, that does happen. When you get yourself in trouble like George Payton did last year, when you try to out-scheme everybody and be smarter than everybody like they did when they picked up Montrell Washington. I mean, although
Montrell was a Russell Wilson pick, right? So he wasn't even in charge then. It was the quarterback.
He liked him. He threw in his 2 cents for whatever reason. Maybe he was taking a walk outside of his office and, ran into George in the hallway. Hey, Georgie boy, saw this kid, Montrell, Stanford. Give him a look. I'd like to see him here. Wink.
Exactly.
Hey, everybody. Russ likes somebody. Let's draft him.
Bring him in.
Make Russ happy. Hey, who's got the rose petals to throw out on the sidewalk for Russ to walk into work today? You? Where? You? Oh, Jim, you got the rose petals? Get out there. He's got his monster truck coming in with his snorkel to drive from Cherry Hills Village to Centennial. Thank God he's got a snorkel.
Okay, so then did we just kind of pinpoint the fact that George Payton's
there's Russ. He's wearing his own jersey into work.
A throwback
because that's normal.
Okay. Did we just learn, though, and just kind of put 2 and 2 together, that George Payton's really never made a whole lot of other decisions? Because who did Hackett bring in from, I'm blanking on his name, I can picture his face, from Green Bay last year? And everyone was like, is this kind of going to be a little bit risky? Who was it? Thank you.
Right tackle. Total disaster. His best friend, he was hurt. He's a quirky dude beyond a former Bronco. He came back to the Broncos. Billy was just, ridiculous. It was ridiculous.
So really, is he always just taking what other people saying and putting it together?
I think that's exactly who George. I think he's a consensus builder. I don't think he's very bold or innovative on his own. I think he's actually very indecisive and shockingly
risky. Good way to save your butt.
That's just not what you should be paying for. You should be paying for somebody who's got a bold strategy. But at the end of the day, what you really need more than anything, Rachel, you need your football people to work well together. Mm-hmm. And they hired Hackett to bait Aaron Rodgers. You don't get Aaron Rodgers, and you just got a kook. You got a crazy dude who does not fit George Payton's personality at all.
Yeah.
Sean Payton doesn't really fit George Payton's personality either, but in a different way. Yeah. Sean Payton is more like a boss and you're a subordinate, whereas Nathaniel Hackett is like, I don't know, he's like a crazy nerd who's got like a toy rocket ship that he's
Yeah.
excited to blow up in the the driveway, and he needs dad to get him some matches or something. It's like, it's kind of like that. But he's with the Jets now, and they'll get Aaron Rodgers. And
okay, so that goes into what's happening in the sports world. Aaron
Right.
Rodgers still hasn't announced anything.
I know. Can you believe it?
Today, or are we going to expect him to drag it out for the next week?
But the Jets just picked up Alan Lazard, a Green Bay wide receiver.
Yep.
They've got Hackett. Everybody's sitting here on TV just waiting for Aaron Rodgers to say okay. It's just this guy. This guy just is so narcissistic and desires so much attention.
Yeah.
But I think they'll get him for a 3-year deal. I think he'll play for 3 years for the Jets.
Yep.
I mean, it's what Brett Favre did, and I think they'll have a significant amount of success.
I saw Stephen A. this morning said that the Jets would be better off with Lamar Jackson over.
Oh, well, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, most teams would be better off with Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson just tweeted 133 for 3 years, fully guaranteed, but I need an agent.
What?
That's what he just tweeted.
Wait. That is confusing to me.
Yeah, I want to see.
Read it again, what he put out.
133 for 3 years, but guaranteed, but I need an agent.
So that's what he's saying he needs to do a deal.
I don't know.
But I need an agent.
Well, okay, so I'm going to have Jake come in here. We're going to have Jake come in here because I think that means he signed, but I'm not 100% sure. Like, is he breaking his own news and he's saying, I'm not going to have any of the big names do it. I'm just going to break my.
That's pretty funny if that's what he just did.
Says he doesn't need an agent and he doesn't need Adam Schefter. So.
Well, listen, the vast majority of information does come from agents about deals.
Yeah.
I mean, players don't talk to Adam Schefter. Agents talk to Adam Schefter.
Okay, Jake, what do you think this means? Because that is a really weird tweet.
Okay, so this has all the NFL insiders completely bamboozled because, as DMAC said, they only get their news from agents, and he doesn't have an agent.
Yeah.
So you could see agents being kind of upset with what's happened with this Lamar Jackson thing. Adam Schefter tweeted that Lamar Jackson turned down $200 million guaranteed. Lamar Jackson, this is an old tweet. This was an old tweet. Lamar Jackson quote tweeted it with a gif of somebody wearing a lot of hats, which means cap. That is a lie. So Lamar Jackson denied. That response, the tweet you just saw, was a response to the tweet with all the hats. So Lamar Jackson saying he signed a $133 million 3-year deal without an agent, but nobody knows with what team or if it's official, and all of the insiders are completely bamboozled with what just happened.
Well, I get it. I know. Hold on. He's saying I need an agent as sarcasm.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's gotcha. He's saying I signed a deal. Up yours. Nobody knows about it because I don't have an agent. Like, this is a big middle finger to everybody. So 3 years, 133 million guaranteed. Okay, I mean, that's not 200 million, I guess, but he's calling the $200 million deal BS from Schefter. So 133 million for 3 years guaranteed would put him where in terms of guaranteed money? It's pretty good, really good actually. I mean, just think about it for a second. I mean, we are talking, well, 40. How's my math? $44 million a year.
It would be the second largest guarantee a quarterback's ever signed behind Deshaun Watson and over Russell Wilson.
Well, that's what he was looking for.
Yeah.
But it's not the same term. Like, it's only 3 years. It's not as long. But yes, DMAC, I think he's poking fun at the fact that he needs an agent.
Gotcha.
And I also think he's trying to dispute the fact that he turned down $200 million guaranteed.
Gosh. But he's telling us he signed a deal.
He's saying he signed a deal. It looks like we just don't know with what team, but I'm 95% sure it's the Ravens because I do not believe he can communicate with other teams until tomorrow.
This is so fascinating because he doesn't have an agent. And, this is the agents are the lifeblood of information for insiders. It's not the players. It's the GMs help, but the GMs tend to confirm things. The agents are the ones that blab things and give you all the fun details.
Yeah. Well, Jake, thank you so much. Let us know if you find out any information because
I mean, he's still tweeting. He tweeted, "People throw poop emoji at the wall and hope it sticks." So he's on one right now.
I'm here for it, Lamar. Go get him, buddy. Hey, man, I love Lamar Jackson.
Me too.
I've always been a huge fan of Lamar Jackson.
Wow.
I think this is hysterical. If I had to bet, I bet it is a deal with the Ravens. I bet they got it done. I bet Ozzie Newsome came in and they just settled things out. And my guess is that he just stays with the Ravens. And if he gets the second most guaranteed money of all time,
Yep.
I mean, it's unreasonable because of how stupid the Browns were to think that you would top the Browns. But if you get the second most guaranteed money of all time, that's awesome.
No, that's a win for Lamar Jackson. And honestly, if he does do it or that is a true number, I'm actually really happy for him.
Well, I'll tell you this. If it's $133 million guaranteed for 3 years, okay?
Yep.
He'll have a lot of that front-loaded in a signing bonus as well as salary. Yep. Rachel, I would not be surprised whatsoever if that is the deal. If he gets a stunning check on day one. I mean, like a signing bonus of, gosh, it would not surprise me if he gets a signing bonus of, say, $35 million as well as his 40-something million salary. I mean, Lamar Jackson may be looking at a payday of upwards of $70 million all in one chunk, just like that. Something like that. I mean, it could be absolutely mind-blowing what he gets in one chunk based on this deal.
If you're Lamar Jackson and Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, they're all trying to call you, are you just like, ignore?
Of course. But I've been ignoring them for probably my entire career.
Yeah.
I mean, why, if you're Lamar Jackson, do you need any relationship? The agents need relationships with the reporters. It's a symbiotic sort of thing. They need to feed off of each other. But if you don't have an agent, you don't need to give anybody information. Because you only represent yourself. That's the deal. Like, agents, okay, may have some big guys, but I guarantee you, Rachel, they got a ton of smaller guys that they need help with too. So it's like, I'll give you a big thing if you help me with some small things, right?
So this also makes me think, what was Deshaun's guaranteed? 256?
I don't know what his guarantee was. I think his whole contract was 240, something like that. I'm not sure what his guarantee was.
Okay. One way or another, he's actually not getting the full guaranteed money because I guarantee his agent obviously gets some of this. Lamar Jackson gets every single penny of the guaranteed money. So really, it's more likely of a chance that he's actually the highest paid player. I know we're like going down a little bit of a rabbit hole here, but he actually probably gets the most money.
Yeah, he also has to deal with all the hassles too. You know, that's part of it as well. If you don't have an agent, Jake is back. Yes, Jake.
Deshaun Watson 230 was the number. We've got two breaking news bits. We've got two breaking news bits too. Mercedes Lewis is closing in on a deal with the New York Jets, which would indicate more Aaron Rodgers stuff, more smoke there.
Yep.
And Austin Eckler has been approved to talk to other teams. So another big running back is on the market to be acquired.
How much would it cost to get Austin Eckler here to the Denver Broncos?
That's what I was literally going to ask. Is it even possible?
But hey, Jake, that would have to be a trade, right? Eckler's a trade, or is he a free agent? It's a trade?
Yeah, it would have to be a trade. What can you afford to give up for Austin Eckler?
You got 2 third-round picks, Rachel.
For Austin Eckler, you think it's worth it?
Well, I think they're going to draft a running back with a third-round pick. Golly, man.
Back-to-back thirds, right?
But it'd have to be a trade, and it'd have to be a new contract. So now you're paying a running back, 10 to 12 million a year.
Cool.
Oh, man.
Let us know in the comments if you would like.
Oh, golly. I don't.
That's tough.
Like a third-round pick and $10 million a year for a running back? I mean, you could just get a running back with a third-round pick at the end.
But will he be Austin Eckler?
I don't think you do it. It's
Small
awful
one,
tempting, but I don't think you do it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sold on the idea either, just because, again, if you've got to give up both of your third round picks, well, then holy smokes, you walk away with only 3 picks in this year's draft. What's the fewest amount of picks that a team has ever had in the draft?
Oh, I mean, the New Orleans Saints with Mike Ditka traded all of their picks for a number 1 to get Ricky Williams. I mean, they only had 1 pick, and they picked up Ricky. It was one of the more famous deals of all time. Totally backfired. Not a good plan, but they gave up all their picks just so they could get Ricky Williams.
Okay.
So I'm going to guess 1 is going to be hard to beat.
True. I'm reading the comments. People are saying trade Murray for Eckler. I would do anything to get Eckler. Eckler, no to Eckler. So majority of people are on board. Some people are not on board. It's definitely an interesting conversation. That's tough. It's tough to
he fits everything you need.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give you that. So, I mean,
it's interesting.
It is. I mean, if they could figure it out, I wouldn't be against it. I mean, I'm not quite sure how they figure it out, but I mean, that would be a freaking awesome story. You know, a kid who grew up in the up north in Colorado. I forget what small town. Is it Byers? I forget. I'm sorry. I'm insulting somebody, but he grew up in a small town. He goes to Western out there at Gunnison, and now he's Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
Eckler. And I would love, and there was a time that Lauren Landau in the same gym at the same exact time was working out Philip Lindsay, Austin Eckler, and Christian McCaffrey all at the same time. All 3 amazing Colorado athletes.
Eckler's from Eaton, but fun fact too, Jake does a wonderful job on the back end. I give him props all the time. The Seahawks had the fewest picks in 2021 with 3 of them, and that was the fewest since 2009. So
okay, well, yeah, the Ricky Williams deal goes way back.
Yeah.
So since 2009, the fewest have been 3.
Yep. So
and Ricky Williams' deal was, God, that might have been in the, I don't know, that was a long time ago. So okay.
Like the late 90s, probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think they just had 1 that year, and I forget what year it was, and it was Ricky Williams and Mike Ditka, and it's famous because Mike Ditka came out of the draft room smoking a cigar because he got 1 guy. He's like, we got our guy, that's it. And there was a great picture on Sports Illustrated about how bonded they were together. And nice. Ricky Williams was in a wedding dress. And like he was getting married to Mike Ditka, who was in a tuxedo.
Oh, okay.
So look up a picture. Google search, Ricky Williams wedding dress, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay, very interesting. We do have to move on to the Avalanche, though, DMAC, because the injury bug is just continuing to hurt this team, and it is devastating. But, of course, in hot water now are the Avalanche because they lose Arturi Lehkonen with a broken finger. He's returning back to Denver to get surgery. They just can't catch a break.
No, and this was a cool night last night for Lehkonen.
Yeah.
He was a big part of the Canadiens when they played in the Stanley Cup Final. Now, they played in the Stanley Cup Final, Rachel, in the weird COVID-impacted year when there was like a Canadian division and there were no conferences, and they really weren't that good, but they got to the Stanley Cup Final, and then they lost to Tampa. It was Arturi Lehkonen who scored an overtime winner to beat the Las Vegas Golden Knights to get the Canadiens in there. Well, Lehkonen was unbelievable, has been unbelievable for the Avalanche. Of course, he did score the eventual winning goal against Tampa Bay, getting some revenge in Game 6 last year, and had 4 game winners in the playoffs last year, which led 4. Yeah, so
I can remember 3.
Well, not all of them are like, overtime walk-off game winners. Some are just like the goal that you needed to win, that sort of thing. But the point, though, is Lehkonen has been incredible for the Avalanche. He is a top-line left winger. He gets used in every power play situation. I mean, he is a core guy for you. And he had scored 2 goals. Last night he had scored 2 goals.
I know.
And then he got hurt. And this is potentially devastating news. Don't forget, Nazem Kadri broke his thumb and was supposed to be out for 8 weeks. And he came back in 18 days. I would assume with, I think, 16 or 17 games left that Lehkonen would be done for the regular season. And the best that you could hope is that he would be back for the playoffs. He's having surgery. I mean, wow. I mean, you're having surgery, Rachel, on a broken finger. You're not just like having it wrapped up. You're having surgery.
Yeah.
Not good.
Do we know which finger it is?
I do not know.
I don't either.
And it matters. It matters what side of the hand it is, what hand, top hand or bottom hand. It matters. It's brutal news. It's absolutely brutal news. And it was a pretty cool homecoming initially for him. He got a nice reception from the crowd. First day back there in 355 days.
Yeah.
2 goals, and now this. And you could see the air get let out of the balloon. They won 8-4, which was great.
Yep.
But you could tell from Bednar after the game and just the reaction of his teammates. It's just like, I mean, are you kidding me? Can we really seriously not catch a break? Rachel, this is devastating news. And they're bringing up Gallianchuk from the minors to probably be some sort of fourth liner. And I the real issue is what they'll do on the second line. Yeah. Or, I don't know, maybe they do something crazy like promote Dennis Malgin to the first line, who's been pretty effective, because they don't want the second line to be weakened. If they, the most common sense thing would be to move Rantanen up there with McKinnon and Nichushkin, but
then your second line is.
But we'll see. Well, I don't know, Rachel. I'm beside myself with misery on this one. It sucks.
And you said it. They can't catch a break, and that's where it's. For you to have to win a championship, a lot of things have to go your way. And it just feels like the universe is telling us all, like, this isn't going to happen. Like, they cannot, for the life of them, get healthy. And it's the key players, too. And that's what really hurts.
It sucks. I'm bummed. I don't know, Ray. I mean, everything is shaping up to, like...
First round, second round exit?
It's shaping up to, like, get healthy and try to win the cup next year rather than be able to do it this year. You do have Nathan McKinnon. Nathan McKinnon is playing out of his mind. Yeah. Nathan McKinnon right now is probably the best player in hockey. He is insanely playing insanely well right now.
He's having to take a huge load of it too, though, because of the injuries.
He's gonna have to, and I think Nichushkin's got to step up a little bit more. He's been a little quiet, but you're gonna have to have Makar, Nichushkin, Rantanen, McKinnon. I mean, they're just going to have to carry you. And Georgie's going to have to be good enough. And that's, we'll see. It's going to be hard. It's going to be really difficult, Rachel. Really difficult. This is a gargantuan setback for the Avalanche.
Now, let's not take away from the big win that was last night. Obviously, 8-4. Like, we saw the star players still show up. So it's not like it's completely over. Like, they're still able to get wins.
No, and they're firmly in the playoffs right now. Yep. They have a very weak strength of schedule for the rest of the year. They'll definitely be able to win games against some of these weak opponents. They're playing Toronto, then Ottawa. So, we'll see how they do up there in Canada. I'm not writing it off. It's just like, it just doesn't feel like they can catch a break this year. Mm-hmm. It just is frustrating. Montreal's a really bad team, by the way. They're one of the worst teams in the NHL. They're a virtual minor league team. They have 2 good players, and they have a terrible goaltending situation. So don't put a lot into that win, by the way. Don't put a lot into it. I'm glad they won. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad they won, but it's just like, okay, let's see.
The Avs aren't the only team in Canada. The Nuggets are also in Canada. They're taking on the Toronto Raptors tonight, and they're returning back pretty close to Jamal Murray's hometown. Who you got tonight?
Well, is Jamal even going to play?
Oh, we don't know. It's still questionable.
A great question. I don't know. I asked Jamal about the Canadian national anthem being played when Toronto was here a couple days ago. He didn't care. And I'm not to say he's not proud of being a Canadian. It just wasn't something that was that special to him. I don't know if he really cares about playing back in Toronto. I don't know if it's really that big of a deal to him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to play. He's got knee soreness for sure. It kept him out of the end of the game the other night. And I don't know what to think about the Nuggets right now, Rachel. This relationship with Malone and Michael Porter Jr., talk about creating a mountain out of a molehill. He is a core player. You're in a close game. Rachel, there is nothing to think about. You play him and you either win with him or you lose with him. But to not play him it's preposterous.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous. That ship has done sailed. It's terrible how Malone treated Michael Porter Jr. the other night. Terrible. And there's time to sort of fix that mistake. It was a mistake by Malone.
Yep.
So you can fix it, but you just fix it. Just play him. If you lose with Michael Porter Jr., so be it. But he's got too much talent, and you've invested way too much not to give him the chance, Rachel. I mean, to not even give him the chance is really insulting the entire organization. It really is arrogance of like next level arrogance if that's what you're gonna do.
It just doesn't really make, like, is Malone trying to say, like, I'm big dog, like, I got this? It doesn't make any sense when you act, like, if you sit down and think about how that game went, why he was on the bench. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, it doesn't add up literally at all.
I think I feel it's like Malone is just like a dad with Michael Porter Jr. who just is frustrated that his kid, has made mistakes in the past, so he doesn't forgive him for small mistakes in the future. And it's like he's constantly like taking away Michael Porter Jr.'s phone. At some point when your kids get older, taking their phone away, Rachel, doesn't work. What you have to do, in my opinion, with kids as they become men, is that you just have to have a more honest conversation. It's not about punishment or taking things away if you trust them. So if you don't trust them, you take things away and you treat them like a child. And right now, that appears to me how Michael Malone, like he can't, I think Michael Malone is just having a hard time accepting that Michael Porter Jr. has grown, developed, and is a real man. He is not a child because Malone's been with him when he was childlike. And so it's hard to get over your preconceived notions of who you used to think somebody was to accept who they are now. That's a difficult thing for a lot of people in life, to just sort of say, well, you're not what you used to be. You are this now. That's why a lot of people have to leave. They either have to leave work, jobs, or teams, or they have to be redefined because their bosses can't get over what they once were to what they are now.
Yeah. But it's still ultimately led, I'm not saying there's a 100% guarantee that they would have won the game against the Nets, but hell, they would have had a lot better of a chance to do it, just to even put the ball in his hands.
Just have him on the court. I mean, everything starts with Jokic, okay? Deservedly so.
And it sucks that he missed the last shot.
Let Jokic make the decisions of the best place to finish the game and move with the ball. I trust Jokic.
You don't think he had any decision making in that?
Jokic?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Because I think that
no.
If you see somebody out on the court and you're like, all right, this person, I think everything in your head goes out for the play you want to run.
I think Jokic had impact with Bones, not with Michael Porter Jr. That's a Malone thing. It's hard to explain. It's probably
for the end of the game against the Nets.
The end of the game against the Nets, the ball's got to go. I mean, there are a couple of ends to the game. There was the one end of the game with 9 seconds where Bruce Brown took a floater and, missed it. And then there's the end of the game with less than 2 seconds. And, in that case, the ball's got to go to Jokic, period, the end. And they just didn't get him. They were only down by 2. He went for a 3 to win it. I mean, all right. I mean, he's made it plenty of times. It's a tough shot, but it would have been a tough shot for anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, there's less than 2 seconds. What are you gonna do?
He's never that good. We talk, and that's one of the national media is always like, oh, Jokic just gives away the ball, yada, yada, stat padding. We could go into that whole conversation. But how often or not does Jokic really keep the ball and shoot the 3 himself instead of giving it to somebody else, D-Mac?
Well, in that situation, Jokic has taken plenty of game-winning attempts over the years.
Yeah.
I mean, but again, to your point, with 1 minute and 9 seconds to go, the ball did go into Jokic. He was covered. He kicked it out to Bruce Brown, not Michael Porter Jr., because Michael Porter Jr. is sitting on the bench. And he kicks it to Bruce Brown, who was 3 of 10 on the night, 1 of 3 from 3. And I like Bruce Brown a lot. But I would sure as hell rather had Michael Porter Jr. in the game as an option. And Jamal wasn't in the game either. And Bruce was in as a guard like Jamal. And I'm like, okay, but Christian Brown had been playing well. And kind of he was in for Michael Porter Jr. But Rachel, forget it. There's a minute to go in the game. Forget about ball handlers or guards or positions. You just want to have your best players in there. But part of that problem, too, is that with 4:39 to go in the fourth, Malone had Porter Jr. about to check in and took him back. If you're in the game with 4:39 and you're in the rhythm, Rachel, of the entire game, okay, you're in a flow. If you sit your ass on the bench for 40 minutes, a full quarter, and it puts you in the game with 20 seconds left to go, I mean, I don't expect anybody to hit a shot. You haven't been on the court. You haven't been running. You're not in the flow of the game. I mean, that's kind of preposterous.
Yeah, I know. And this was a really long show, and we'll get into the Nuggets again tomorrow. Hopefully they get back on the win streak and get a W. But D-Mac, extra long show. We got our minute 05. Holy smoke. Or an hour 05. This show just keeps getting longer and longer and longer.
Whatever you need, Rachel. I can keep going.
Always a pleasure. An absolute pleasure, D-Mac. Truthfully, it is all mine. But everybody, we'll be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. for another episode of Coffee Break. We'll see if there's any more news coming out of the Denver Broncos headquarters. Hopefully we'll see. You never know what's going to happen. But otherwise, we'll see you guys tomorrow morning for a Wednesday edition of Coffee Break. Have a wonderful Tuesday, everybody. Bye.
Au revoir.